Here are game shows that were actually made back in the day. Number 10, Women's Logic. Oh hey, a game show that's centered around women's logic. That can't go wrong, right? Come on, who on earth ever thought to come up with a game show that focused on how dumb one gender was? In 2012, Georgian television channel Imedi TV came up with a quiz show called Women's Logic. The premise here was that models are invited to the show and asked a variety of questions. Meanwhile, teams of men are awarded points for guessing exactly how these models would answer each question incorrectly. The show wasn't at all about getting the right answers, but rather trying to predict how each person would answer incorrectly. The show producers put it as trying to comprehend the world of women's logic. They most likely could easily have gotten the same funny moments by just featuring dumb people of both genders, because the questions they asked on the show seemed like the average person wouldn't have gotten anyways. There's actually a game that poker players would play that's essentially the variation of the game called Lauden Thinks. This is where two players would make a bet on how a random person would answer a particular question the players came up with. Now, this is actually a fun way to see how someone thinks. Women logic? Not so much. Number 9, Gaki No Sukai. This game show's official name is Downtown no Gaki no Sukai ya Arahende, which translates to Downtowns We Aren't Errand Boys. Does that make a lot of sense to you? Well, we're sure there are definitely some things lost in translation here. Supposedly, the show has been a massively influential show on Japanese comedy. Downtown no Gaki is basically a talk show with a lot of guests. And with a lot of guests, this means they play a lot of games, in addition to whatever inappropriate subjects they talk about. Yaki No Sukai is especially famous for its Batsu games. These are devilish and sometimes intricate scenarios where someone is punished for losing a competition, a bet, or just because. One of our favorite games they played was called Find the Chair. It sounds exactly like what it is. One person is blindfolded while someone else secretly, or not so secretly, places a chair down for that person to find. Once the chair is down, the blindfolded person tries to find the chair and sit in it. And, well, hilarity ensues. Watch this guy wipe out while his unsympathetic teammates laugh. Another famous game they play is their Silent Library game. These are games where the comedians play random games, and if they lose or laugh out loud, they get punished. For example, this guy, he got one of his nose hairs pulled out because he lost the game. Number 8, For a Dream. Known as Cantando por un Sueño in South America, this show featured people competing in a singing contest. Typically, the people in the contest are people who have some really serious life circumstance they're trying to avoid. For example, one woman sang to try to win a kidney transplant for her kids. Another person sang to raise money for their failing business. There's something oddly weird about watching amateurs take part in a singing contest where the results have life-changing consequences. It's almost like watching Hunger Games, except it's actually happening. It's just flat out weird and kind of really awkward. Oh wait, but there's more. Somehow they came up with a dancing version called Bailando por un Sueño, or Dancing for a Dream. Sure, one lucky winner per season had their dream fulfilled. Meanwhile, the finale episodes of Bailando feature elimination ceremonies where the losing dancers snuff out candles that represented their hopes for a better life. Yeah, awkward. Number 7, Amateur's Guide to Love. Imagine kissing your significant other in public. Now imagine that someone started messing with you guys all while some creepy guy was secretly filming. Then a camera crew would come ask you questions afterwards about what you guys like to do. Yes, this was a real show back in the 70s. So the show had an olive green cargo van with the word love taped on the sides, cruised around Southern California. They secretly filmed young couples making out, and then afterwards they were messed with candid camera style. After the producers got their film, they were approached by the film crew. The film crew would then ask the couple questions about relationships in general, and their responses were judged by a celebrity panel. The couple that chose the best answer according to the judges was awarded a prize. Yeah, secretly filming people making out is weird, but doing it from a van? Even weirder. Number 6. Hurl. The American game show Hurl took America's love for eating and added a bizarre twist. This game involved people eating lots of food and then taking part in some kind of intense physical activity while trying their best not to, hurl. Yeah, are we sure this wasn't a Japanese game show? In the pilot episode, contestants ate a bunch of mac and cheese, and then they had to strap into a human bowling ball and roll down the streets of Los Angeles. There was also the time they ate broccoli and cauliflower with cheese before they hopped on an amusement park ride called the Octopus. Oh yeah, they also once ate clam chowder and went on one of those teacup rides that spins you round and round. Basically, the show's producers just found creative ways to try to get people to hurl. The last person to hold out from doing that on each show won only $1,000 cash. No, the show wasn't that popular because it lasted only 11 episodes. Number 5. Moment of Truth. A lot of game shows on this list involved some kind of weird physical activity, but Moment of Truth involved contestants answering embarrassing questions for cash prizes. Before the show began filming, contestants took a lie detector test where they answered 100 questions. Without knowing the results, they're then asked 21 of those questions in front of a live audience. The questions become more personal as the questions go on. Basically, the goal here was to try to match up their answers with the lie detector. But that's not really the juicy part. The real juicy part was all the crazy personal stuff people revealed in order to win $500,000. On one episode, a female contestant admitted that she felt that her ex-boyfriend was the man she should have been married to. Not only that, she admitted to having cheated on her husband. Number 4. Man vs. Beast. Back in the early 2000s, a game show called Man vs. Beasts aired in the US that featured weird contests between a man and a random animal. For example, a sumo wrestler played tug-of-war with an orangutan. Obviously, he lost. World-class sprinter Sean Crawford raced a giraffe and won. But then he lost to a zebra after that. To be fair, zebras have to outrun lions on a daily basis in the wild. Past hot dog eating champ Kobayashi squared off with a Kodiak bear in a hot dog eating contest. People didn't think trying to get a bear to eat as many hot dogs as possible back then wasn't a good thing for bears. Animal rights groups had a field day with this game show, and it was canceled after only a few episodes. Number 3. Duro. Duro was a Japanese game show that involved trapping people in rooms and seeing if they could escape. However, they had to overcome tough challenges, such as the beam room, where they had to solve a puzzle, or else they got dropped into a bottomless pit. Then there was the sand room, where they were put in a sand pit. If they kept getting answers wrong, they kept on sinking. Then there was the wall room, the ruins room, the stone monster room, the water room. You get the idea. All these rooms required contestants to solve some kind of puzzle, or else. This was essentially an escape room that involved questions, and the consequences were much worse. The show was popular, but it was canceled in 2011. That was the year of the giant earthquake in Japan that triggered a giant tsunami. Several people went similar to the way in the water room situations. Number 2. AK Bingo. AK Bingo was a Japanese television variety show that starred the Japanese girl group AKB48. Is that how you're supposed to say their name? Just saying each letter and number? In each episode, members of this girl group, and occasionally other Japanese girl groups, participated in activities that include quizzes, games, and cultural news. On the show, the girls are consistently trying to pull pranks on each other. For example, the girls took turns playing Russian roulette, pulling the trigger on a toy revolver that could pop a balloon at any time. The craziest and probably most famous contest that they had on the show involved two girls and a roach. Simply put, the girls are trying to blow a single roach into the other person's mouth. The show was just canceled in 2019 because, why wouldn't anyone want to see some Japanese girl accidentally almost eating a roach? Number 1. Toray. If you're one of those people that are good under pressure, then this game is for you. The Japanese game show Toray requires its contestants to do all sorts of weird things. The show was a combination of intellectual and physical activities. There was one segment where contestants were standing on moving platforms. If you answered the question wrong, the platform slid into a wall. Another segment involved avoiding becoming a mummy. Contestants have to answer questions as quickly as they can, all while they're being wrapped up like a mummy. They had 60 seconds to answer each question correctly before they became temporarily mummified and placed into a fake coffin. Yeah, this wouldn't be approved here in the US. The questions cover a wide range of trivia, such as naming obscure Japanese national holidays to naming managers in the Japanese Baseball League. Here's what's next.